Sometimes I pick up a book and I read it instantly, and before I know it, it's done. And other times I add a book to my TBR and then it ends up collecting dust on my shelf for a while. Whether it's because the book is too long or because the writing style is a little confusing, I look at the book and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to you eventually. Well, today I'm going to be giving summaries on 10 of those books and why I've been putting them off for so long. I'm also going to be tier ranking them based on how excited I am to read them. To start, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart. This book follows Evangeline Fox, who falls in love with a man and is heartbroken when she finds out that the love of her life is marrying none other than her stepsister. In order to try to stop the marriage, she strikes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and the whole story is essentially her journey through this. This is actually a book that you all have recommended to me countless times, so I added it to my TBR, and honestly, the main reason it's been sitting on my TBR is because I didn't like Horrible, and this is by the same author in the same sort of universe, so I've just been really scared to start it. Almost all of you have been saying that this book is way better than Horrible, and I really want to believe you all, but honestly, I'm a little scared. I really didn't like the writing style of Horrible, so we'll see. It's not one of my priorities, I'm not gonna lie, so we're starting this off at the bottom of my list. Next, we have The Priory of the Orange Tree. This is an epic fantasy book set in a world filled with dragons, and it follows a few different characters. One of the characters is Reid, whose goal is to protect one of the queens in this land. Another one of the characters is a dragon trainer. It's a bit of a complicated book, but the main premises are there's this ancient dragon that's awakening again, and it's going to wreak havoc on the world. And there's a queen that still hasn't had a child yet, and she's a threat of being assassinated. So those are like the major plot points. Now, before I say anything about why I haven't started reading this book yet, I'm just gonna let you guys take a little look at it, and I think you're gonna get the idea. This is a very, very, very thick book, and it's also taller than a normal book. For reference, this is my copy of The Poppy War. It's a thick book, and that's honestly the main reason I've been so intimidated to read it. I've also been a bit intimidated just because the plot seems a bit complicated. I haven't read that many epic fantasy books, but I really want to, so that's why this has been on my TBR, and I'm very, very excited to read this. I'm hoping to read it before the summer ends, and so I'm putting Priory of the Orange Tree at the top tier. Next, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book follows Joan, who for her whole life has been in love with space. She started off as a professor teaching physics and astronomy, and then she was selected to be a part of this NASA space program, so it follows her love story as she falls in love with another astronaut. I absolutely loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I read it 2 years ago, and since then, I've been trying to no avail to find books to fill that hole because it was just so beautiful and so tragic, and I loved it so much. When I heard that Taylor Jenkins Reid released a new book, I was so excited, so I bought it almost instantly, but I've just been so scared to read it, and honestly, I'm not sure when I'm going to because so many people that love The Seven Husbands said that this book was somehow even better and made them cry more, and I just want to save this book because I'm so scared that once I finish this book, it's gonna be like The Seven Husbands all over again, where I'm just searching for years and years to find another book that's just as good. Right when I stop overthinking it, I'm definitely gonna read this book. So this is going right next to Priory at the top tier. Next, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I'm sure most of you have at least heard of this book before, but for anyone who hasn't, it's a World War II book that follows two different sisters and their stories during World War II, as well as how they navigate life afterwards. This book has been on my TBR sort of casually for the past maybe 3 years, I think, but I finally ended up picking it up for real around a month or two ago, and I really want to read it, but I know it's a really sad book. I'm someone who gets really emotional over books. I end up not being able to read another book for like days after because I'm just sad and depressed and I just want to sleep and cry. And I think this is going to be one of those books, which is why I've been putting it off for so long. I'm going to be doing a challenge soon where I read all the saddest books that I own, and this is going to be one of them, so I should finish it before the summer ends. I'm definitely also really excited to read it, but it's sort of more of a book that I just feel like I really should read, so I'm putting it right at the middle. Since we're on the topic of sad books, the next book I have is A Little Life. This follows 4 college students in New York. In particular, it follows one man, Jude, who suffered a lot of trauma through his childhood, and so it follows his tragic story. I picked up this book around a year ago, and again, it's a tearjerker, and so I really want to read it. I'm also really scared because I get so emotional over books. A Little Life is also going right in the middle. Next, we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This book follows Selena, who's been enslaved in this prison, and her life expectancy there is not very long. So she enters into this competition where she has to assassinate 23 other contestants in order to gain her freedom. To preface, I'm not exactly sure if you pronounce her name Selena. I'm pretty sure I've pronounced a lot of names wrong in this video already, so sorry about that. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, I've been wanting to read this book since I was in like 8th grade. There's many reasons that I've been a bit intimidated to start this book series. To start, I believe it's 8 books long, and some of the books occur at the same time, and whenever there's something like that, I always get a bit confused, and I'm kind of lazy. I just want to straightforward read this book, then this book, then this book, so those always make me a bit confused, which is one of the reasons I've been putting it off. Also, I tried to read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't for me. I didn't love the writing style. Also, just overall the vibe, didn't love it. But people have said that this book series is better, which is why I wanted to pick it up. And the final reason I've been putting it off is because I don't like fae. I know this is a really personal issue, but I've always just been a bit uncomfortable with books that have fae as main characters. If the main character has like horns, whatever, but if they like transform into like a lion or they're like half lion, I've For me, I have yet to find a book where I enjoyed main characters that were like that. I'm sorry, I know, which is why this book has been on my TBR, because I really do want to get more into books with fae, because I know there's so many amazing ones. It's just, I started off with A Court of Thorns and Roses and other books that sort of made me cringe a bit with those main characters. So I'm hoping to find a book that will make me start liking fae. So this is one of those books that I want to read soon. Next, we have Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is a science fiction thriller when all of a sudden people start gaining memories from experiences that are not their own. This drives a lot of people mad, so a cop and a neuroscientist try to investigate this issue and find a solution for it. Clearly, I want to read a lot of books from a wide range of different genres. I'm just trying to read all different sorts of things, and for my whole life I've read a lot of like YA dystopian books, so this book really stood out to me as one that seemed interesting, and I haven't read a thriller yet, so that's why it's on my list. And the reason that I've been putting it off is exactly that, because I have yet to read a thriller. I get spooked by books and movies and all that pretty easily, and I know this isn't horror, it's a thriller book, but I've been slightly worried that it would scare me, which is why I've been putting it off for a while. But I really do want to read it because it seems so interesting. And also so many of my favorite book talkers have recommended this book, so I'm excited to read it soon. Next we have This Is How You Lose a Time War. This is a science fiction fantasy book, and it's very unique in that it's written entirely in letters. It follows two different characters on opposing sides of a war, the red character and the blue character. They're not really described as like humans, but they're just like a red and a blue being as part of their species. And so they're part of this intergalactic war, and they're supposed to be enemies, but as they exchange letters to each other, they slowly start falling in love. This is honestly a really short book. It's only 198 pages, so you'd think by now I would have just picked it up, finished it in a day or so. But I tried reading this book, and it's really confusing. I reread the first 10 pages probably like 5 times at this point, and I've just been so lost and so confused every single time. So size really doesn't matter, guys, because this is a tiny book, but it packs a punch. I've heard it makes more sense in the middle, but thus far I've been really confused. But I'm hoping that I'll get to it soon, because I've heard it's a really beautiful book, and I think this could be my next 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo once I really get into it. Well, I'm really hoping I'll like it. I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult read, so I put it at the meh tier. The next book I really want to read is Dune. This is a space opera book set in a desert where there's this very valuable spice. I'm sure all of you have heard of Dune at this point, because it's been turned into 2 movies with Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, and I actually have not watched the movies yet, because I've been telling myself that I would read the books before I get to the movies, but I started looking more into the books, and there's a lot of them. It's a really long series. This book was written by Frank Herbert, and I believe he wrote the first 3 books, but then there were more books that were continued by his son. I heard that those ones aren't as good, so I'm not sure if I'm going to read them, but the length is sort of the main reason I haven't gotten to it yet. Out of all the books on my TBR, this is the one I'm most excited to read, so it's going at the top tier. And finally, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This book follows Jude, who's a human living in a world full of fae. Most of the fae in this world despise humans, so in an effort to fit in, Jude tries to join the palace court. However, after she joins, she finds out that the court is filled with violence, manipulation, and other issues, and so she has to try to navigate it all in order to survive. Out of all of the books on my list, I think this is the one that has been on my list for the longest time. I've been wanting to read it since I was in middle school, so well over 5 years. I think I found out about it right when I was entering my book slump, and then more recently, I've been trying to read books that are less YA. However, a lot of you said that this book is really good, and I really want to read a book that has fae in it, and this book seems to be a good balance, so I think I'd be more okay with it. And I've also heard people say that it doesn't focus heavily on the romance, which I think I like in some of my fantasy books. I like when it's very plot driven and romance is sort of in the backdrop, so I am really excited to read it, and I hopefully will read it before the year ends. Those were all 10 of the books that I've been too intimidated to read. I'm really hoping that I'll get to them soon. If you liked any of these books, please be sure to drop a comment letting me know, and be sure to stay tuned because I'm going to be posting more videos where I finish a lot of these books and more, and I'm really excited to share my opinions with you. Stay tuned if you want to see my reviews for any of these books, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!